Good morning, and thank you, Reverend Deborah, for your kind invitation to share this pulpit with you today. And thanks to the amazing folks on the family ministry team, hospitality team, the audiovisual team, and the Emerson office teams, along with our board of trustees, who've endorsed the festivities to celebrate my 21 years. Boy, that's hard to say. I am humbled by all of you who have made Beth Fest a thing. And it's like this gigantic fun thing, so that's really great. And I can't wait to see what Emerson's going to do for my 40th anniversary, right? I'll be here in a wheelchair. Yeah. Just kidding. Many of you know that part of being a UU religious educator at Emerson, and just one of the many benefits of this calling, is having access to some pretty amazing Unitarian Universalist professional development classes. So religious educators, and really anybody who's interested, you can jump in on this festival, this feast of knowledge. We have a catalog of 3-day intensive UU training courses called Renaissance modules. And they have some pretty riveting topics. UU history. Who wouldn't love 3 days of UU theology? Ministry with youth. UU worship. Multicultural religious education. UU identity. We'll talk more about that in a minute. UU philosophy of religious education. UU adult faith formation. Curricula planning. I won't go anymore. You get the picture. Well, it didn't take me long at Emerson to figure out that I loved these training weekends. Yeah. I think I know what you're thinking. Great chance to get away from 4 kids, right? And a husband who travels. Yeah. So Mike happily stayed home with our 4 kids, and I realized that I did love these training sessions. And I'm not kidding that it was riveting, because pretty much early on, my friends, I realized that I'm a UU Renaissance module junkie. Now, some of our esteemed colleagues and congregants that are joining us for worship today for the first time, may not know what a junkie is. I'm going to dance around this one. If someone is addicted to a habit, and usually it's a bad habit, but in my case, it's a great habit, and they're doing something that they just cannot stop doing, they may be a junkie. They have little ability to stop because the habit just feels so good. Oh my. So that's me. It feels so good, and what I call UUology is what I've really enjoyed. So I'm definitely a Renaissance module junkie. In one of my first modules, now I'm not going to go through all 17, okay? You don't have to look forward to that. But I learned about a Catholic theologian. Her name is Maria Harris, and her life's work focused on one main idea. Are you ready? That the congregation, like all of us together, is the curriculum. Mind blown. I'm not seeing that same excitement. So that means that how the leaders of the congregation lead, how the minister and the staff, how we interact and do our jobs, how the adult members and children and youth work together, whether they behave well or not so well with each other, even the way that congregations celebrate together, how they make decisions, honors of milestones in our lives, how we play, you name it. Everything about a particular congregation, of every religious congregation, everywhere, actually is living, breathing curricula for that congregation. Even the way a congregation celebrates, makes decisions, the things I've listed, it's a big curricula. I don't know how many of those binders. Jillian, do you have a count on those binders? We have a few extras. Do you think there's 50? We could write our own curricula just by looking at how we behave together. I wanted to take the gems of these Renaissance modules and the learning to create a rich, diverse, beloved community experience for Emerson's children, youth, and families, our volunteers, our lay leaders, and even our ministers. My vision has been to create a family ministry that models different ways of being together in our UU faith that would bind our congregation across the ages and stages of all of our own continuing faith development levels, to create positive memories together as we work, gather in spiritual ways, and gather for a lot of play. One of my wonderful UU religious educator teachers and mentors is Connie Goodbread. She took that idea of the congregation is the curriculum, and she put a twist on it. And to clarify what Unitarian Universalism is at its core by saying everything we do is faith formation. So whether we're setting up tables, whether we're cleaning up balloons in sequence, all of those things together is faith formation. Everything we teach is Unitarian Universalism. And last but not least, the congregation is the curriculum. So it was very early in me being immersed in UUism at these Renaissance module trainings that I started to form a vision of a congregation being our curriculum at Emerson. In regards to the children and families programs, one challenge it was that I traveled and theorized with other directors of religious education, and no one really saw it my way. Beth, you cannot have children in worship. It's inappropriate. Who knows what they'll do? And I just didn't see it that way. In working with Emerson's Religious Ed Committee and the leaders over these 21 years, and as I look around, I see many of you that have been Religious Ed chair people and active in the Religious Ed Committee, we have created new ways to build, nurture, and support Emerson UU kids, our families, and our congregation as we've grown out of a small family-sized suburban congregation into one of the most progressively family-friendly and welcoming all ages, mid-sized congregation in this region. There's not many of us out there. So I'm very excited about the new Emerson website. When's it come out? When is that going to hit? This week? Awesome. So while we've been working on it, I'm on the web, I'm looking at other congregations, what do they say, how do they say it, what are their pictures like, blah, blah, blah. And I ran into a mission statement for a large Florida UU congregation last year that talked about their religious exploration program for adults and kids. And here it is. Our lifespan religious education program teaches adults and children about the great faiths of the world, social justice, wonders of the natural world, and ethical decision-making. Compare that to Emerson's family ministry statement that basically says this: our goal is to do absolutely everything we can to grow lifelong Unitarian Universalists. We feel that strongly about how important this faith is. And our vision of how we do it is not easy, but it's fun. To have an array of spiritual learning, community building, and hands-on service to other experiences together. And we need to increase that outreach and social justice work while integrating UU values across all ages so we can grow and live our individual and our congregational UU faith. So why is it so important that Emerson have a Unitarian Universalist faith formation? And why is it so important to me? And that is a very big question. It's probably one that's deep enough for 5 to 6 different sermons, so I'm going to spare you. But let's start for me evangelizing for a minute on why I think our UU faith is a faith whose wisdom is more relevant today than just about any other time in our history. At their simplest, our values are embedded in our 7 principles. They serve as critical direction points on our personal moral compasses. Does everyone have their personal moral compass with them today? Now, I had planned to sing the UU 7 Principles song, but I'm going to spare you. At its most complex, our faith is a faith that is infinitely welcoming, truth-seeking, wonder-revealing, validated, open to exploration and the transcending wisdom that it unfolds around us, and powered by the most basic of all motivations. And the choir took my line. It's love. That is what it's all about. I have this favorite 95-page little book that I mentioned in the rite of passage ritual. It's called Full Circle, 15 Ways to Grow Lifelong UUs. And it's written by Tweety Ursula Covey in 2005. What Covey did was she went out and did a huge amount of surveys. She went across different demographic levels looking for lifelong UUs. So that little bit of straggler folks that raised their hands earlier. She interviewed folks like you from 25 to 87 years old, and she interviewed 85 people. And what she came up with is 15 ways to grow UUs. And see how many that you think relate to you here at Emerson. Lifelong UUs identify and crave their UU identity. Do any of you feel like you have a UU identity? When you think about it? It's things like common beliefs, whether you believe wholeheartedly with our 7 principles, things like that. And there are some hidden assumptions that underlie our faith, such as there being the possibility, just a possibility, that there is good and positive things in the universe. That ultimate religious act is choosing what we as individuals believe. That we make our choices with intelligent love, including reason, our senses, and our conscience. Lifelong UUs also talked about life considering religious exploration or second hour. I don't know how many of you adults go to the second hour classes that we have, but lifelong UUs go. They like it. They like to learn. They like to learn and grow. Lifelong UUs attend services regularly. They have found value in ritualizing holiday events and celebratory, that was good, celebratory events. Thank you so much for coming to the dance last night. That was so loud. They also are realists. And that means lifelong UUs advise other UUs to prepare for the negative side of community, religious community. In any community, whether it's your home, family of choice, we have to prepare ourselves for the divisions, controversies, and discomfort. If we prepare ourselves and our children for inevitable conflicts of building community, we're more able to handle the snags and stumbles when they come up. And it does remind me a lot of our families. We need to strive to provide the background stories for every teacher who's teaching so they know what that really means. So many of our teachers come to us either as returning Unitarian Universalists who haven't taught in a long time, or brand new folks who are brand new to our faith. So we need to tell them the backstories. We need to provide parents and the congregation with UU resources. We need to offer opportunities for all ages to live out our UU values, and that thing is critical. And so we're going to work more on that this year. So we do more outreach, more good things for our community together. Lifelong UUs also remember to focus on engaging programs for kindergarten through 6th grade because they remember those nurturing teachers. Thank you, teachers. They remember engaging arts and crafts projects. They remember singing in the holiday pageant. And they remember asking challenging questions and not being shut down. So that blend of skilled, caring teachers and programs that balance fun, which keeps kids, does the fun keep you coming back? Yeah, pretty much. And teachable moments, which create mature religious individuals. So there are probably 6 more of those 15 ways. And you'll have to come and talk to me about it because my message is running long today. These suggestions for raising lifelong UUs and being one yourself require intention and commitment from everyone, church leaders, staff, parents, and all congregants. As we return to where I started this morning, I wanted to introduce you to a very wise and experienced UU religious educator from Massachusetts named Daniel Harper. I've never met Daniel Harper, but he wrote a 12-page essay about faith formation for Unitarian Universalists, and I have it here if you'd like me to read it too. Yeah, just kidding. Daniel Harper's main idea was that there's 5 tasks that a person needs to develop their UU faith, and guess what? They almost exactly mesh those 15 ways to grow lifelong UUs. So I'm tripping through all of those tasks. There you might learn techniques of meditation and prayer by joining Qigong on Tuesday nights with Reverend Deborah, visit the Emerson Buddhist group, and of course, come to service on Sundays. Learn a new role in our congregation. Be a part of the radical hospitality that our hospitality team extends. Join our wonderful choir on Wednesday nights. Singing as spiritual practice is a real thing here. Engage in social action. Quiet ways to show you care about changing our world just a tiny bit by bringing canned foods to feed those living in homelessness and food shortage in our neighborhood, and signing unregistered voters up to cast their votes. So those are a few simple ways to form a deep, living Unitarian Universalist faith for yourself. It will never, ever be boring, I promise. And there are many new and challenging ideas. So my advice to you, in closing, is to find your place amongst this beloved community here in ways that resonate in your UU faith with your many gifts.